All right, welcome to Extra Magic Minutes, episode 2. On this episode, we're going to talk about our favorite moderate and value resorts, and we're going to rank them, all of them. And then we're going to just discuss the pros and cons of each one and kind of have a fun little discussion about these resorts. So why don't we start with the values?
All right.
And how do you want to do this? Do you want to do like one at a time? We'll do like
Yeah.
start from the bottom and then go up to the top, and you do
Yeah.
one, I'll do one.
Sure.
All right, go ahead. What's
Okay.
your least favorite value
My
resort?
least favorite is sports. I've stayed there once or twice. One was over, what was it? Senior trip in high school. I feel like there's just always a bunch of kids or teenagers, either cheerleading competitions or, football teams or something like that. And not that that's necessarily bad. I just think when you look at the rooms and the atmosphere compared to all the other values, I just prefer the other ones better. Um, there isn't, at movies you have the big Disney characters. At Art of Animation you have the big Disney characters. Oh no,
What happened?
wait, my internet connection is unstable and you're frozen, and I don't know how this works. Am I frozen?
Yeah, he just froze.
Boo. Okay, hold on. Let me like.
You're back now.
Boo. It was fine the other day. Okay, is it good now?
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but it's good. I think you're good.
Okay. Um. Anywho, so yeah, that's why I don't really love sports as much as the other ones.
I stayed there last March for the first time, and I think the only reason why I didn't hate it is because it's like there had been so much negativity surrounding it, so I was like pleasantly surprised that it wasn't awful. Like
Yeah, it's not bad.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just my least favorite.
it was. I thought my experience was similar to like All Star Music. I've stayed at almost all of the values, so it was
Yeah.
similar to All Star Music. The theming is not as good, but like in terms of the room, like the room was clean, the food court was like normal. Um, it's definitely also my least favorite because I don't like I like sports, but that's not exactly the theme I'm looking for at a Disney hotel. I think
Yeah.
that's why it gets the hate because it's not exactly that warm, like fuzzy feeling you can get from a Disney hotel. It's
Right.
kind of cold almost. But
Yeah.
if you have like young boys, I think they might get a kick out of that. And the rates are still relatively good at the value resorts. If that's all that's available, I would totally stay there. I guess is my point.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
All right, so what's
Makes
the
sense.
next on
So
your
was that
list?
also your was that your
Yeah, that was
least?
my least
Okay.
favorite too.
So then I have music. I stayed at music when we went to Disney with my show choir when I was in like ninth grade, I think. It was fine, just like sports. It's fine. I know that they have some family suites that they don't have at the movies or sports, I believe. But they're not updated. I know that like movies, I stayed there August 2018, and our room was pretty nice. It was updated. It was comfortable, and at music, I don't think they're really updated yet. So I think that would be, next on the refurb list, and I think it would be just as good as movies.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I stayed at music at least twice. And I think it's one of those things where it's like again, it's the same thing as sports. The theming is a lot cooler. I like there's a Beauty and the Beast section, there's a piano shaped pool, there's so many things that kind of give it a charm. I didn't know there were suites. Maybe there are. We're gonna talk about art of animation in a bit. I I believe you. But I had a good experience there. Again, it's not like a luxury resort because I think you and I have stayed at a lot of the deluxe resorts too, so we have like all these comparisons in our head. But again, All Star Music, if that was all that was available, or I got like a really good rate, I would totally
Yeah.
stay there, no problem.
Yeah, and I know, well, for the next one, at least for movies, I went there for a bachelorette party. It was me, the bride, and the maid of honor, and it was fun. We were in the parks all day. We came home, we showered, we went to bed, we woke up and for a road trip the next day. So we really only needed it for a place to sleep and and a
Yeah,
place to keep our stuff. So it was perfect for that. Is it? They don't have none of the value resorts have a restaurant or anything, so that's not something that can differentiate them. But when it's just a comfortable room, it was super clean. All of these have been super clean. Like the um, mousekeeping did a really great job for all three of them. So, but movies is just I prefer the theming and I prefer the upgrades that they've done.
All Star Movies, and that's also the next one on my list if we're continuing. Number what is that? That makes it number what 3 out of 5? That's number 3 out of 5 on our value. We've had the same list so far. I think it's going to be the same list the whole way. I said All Star Movies last January 2019, and I think that's where this list starts to get interesting because there's so much. It has so much going for it. I stayed in one of the new rooms. I didn't love the new room. Did you say like the new like refreshed rooms with like the
Yeah.
Murphy bed thing?
Mm.
It felt like almost too much like a hospital. Like it was very like kind of cold and like clinical, like
Yeah.
super clean, but like it
Are
wasn't like a
you
warm,
are
inviting
you
room.
a carpet person in the rooms?
I
Or
like I that was I think probably the biggest thing that made it feel that way. It has like cold tile floors the whole room.
no, I like that better. I just feel like it's like cleaner. You can clean it better.
Oh, it was definitely clean. It definitely felt. I mean, I was definitely one of the first people to stay in that room since it had been updated, so that was even better. But I'm sure, and it just has like this sense of like, okay, this is probably a clean space. So in terms of cleanliness, you feel fine. I didn't like comparing it to. I don't know what's fair to compare it to, but like I just stayed at recently the DVC villas at the old DVC villas at Wilderness Lodge. So warm, so cozy, complete opposite. And that's like more what I'm looking for, but there's a huge price difference. That being said, All Star Movies, amazing theme. The Toy Story section is amazing. The negatives are it has a Herbie the Love Bug section that nobody cares about, a Mighty Ducks section that nobody cares about. So those things should definitely be updated. They should definitely bring in new themes for those
Right,
sections.
right,
So
definitely.
other than that, the pool is awesome. It has this really cool Fantasia section, and it's I would I would not even hesitate to stay there again. You know, especially at a good price.
Yeah, yeah.
So
All
what's
right.
next on your list?
Next, I've never stayed here. I've watched a lot of videos about it, and apparently the food court is absolutely amazing. But Art of Animation, and the only reason it comes in second for me is the price. It's basically a moderate, leaning on deluxe price um, for those family suites. And I know that there's more room, and you wouldn't have to get a second room if you have, 5 or 6 people. But I think if you're going to go all the way to that, I think the Fort Wilderness Cabins would be a better option for the price. Or I think getting a 1 bedroom at like Old Key West would be a better value for your price. So that's
Like I lost you a little bit. Can you hear me? No? Oh no. It's all right. We could always start. We could always start from where we are and then put them together. We have
oh,
to. Oh, there you
there.
go. There you are.
Okay. Hi.
All right.
Did you?
So I have our animation at number one. So I'll talk about that first, so we don't flip back and forth.
Okay.
Um, Art of Animation, like a lot of people when they do these kinds of lists, Art of Animation's kind of like off to the side because it's different. Like you mentioned, it's suites. The pricing is different for that reason, but it's still technically a value resort, so it's got to be mentioned. Um, I think it has to be number one. I think I stayed in the Little Mermaid section, which was technically the abandoned buildings from Pop
Yeah.
Century.
Yeah.
This is like
I love
2017,
that.
and it's really nice. I mean, the theming is so well done. I think if you have families with little kids, like little kids will like fall in love with this place. It's really well done. Now it has the Skyliner. I think it may have the best, maybe have the best hotel food court in terms of the food quality of any hotel food court I've eaten at Disney. So good. Um, it has so much going for it. I love the Cars theme. I love the Lion King section. So much cool stuff. Um, and then your number one is my number two. So go ahead.
Yeah, Pop Century. I really like. I stayed there sometime in college. I thought it was just a little bit better themed and a little bit more upscale. I mean, as upscale as the Valiant can be, but more upscale than the All Stars. I felt like there was more like families and couples than huge like youth groups. I thought that was a huge plus. Um, I like their food court. I thought their food court was better than the other values. Not Art of Animation. I've never been to their food court, but I just thought it was better than the All Stars. And now it has the Skyliner. And a theme that you will see through my list is if it has a Skyliner, it's at the top of my list. And I know Art of Animation does too, obviously, but I am obsessed with the Skyliner. It's like my new favorite thing. They should do it to every park and every resort. I'm obsessed. And so now that it goes to Pop, I think Pop and Art of Animation are going to be even more popular and probably even more expensive now than they were compared to the All Stars before.
Yeah, I haven't ridden the Skyliner yet, so I was like interested to see how that changes my opinion about all
Oh,
this. But hopefully this year. Um, Pop Century is the one on this list that I haven't stayed at, and that's probably why it's where it is. But I've
Yeah.
seen lots of videos, and it looks really cute. Like I think my like bucket list is to like stay in the Jungle Book, like the blue statue like room. Is that near the pool? I don't know where anything is, but it's definitely like my next to do in terms of value resorts for sure. So
Yeah, and I like the hippy dippy. Like I like the '60s and stuff, so the hippy dippy pool and stuff like that. That's up my alley. So,
cool.
yeah.
All right, so we move on to moderates.
Yeah,
This is where I think we're gonna get like it's gonna get mismatched.
anticipate.
This is where
Okay.
you're gonna make a lot of mistakes.
So my least favorite, I haven't stayed here, but again, I watched a lot of videos about it, and I, know a lot about it, is French Quarter. So Port Orleans French Quarter. It's really small, and I like the fact that it's smaller than all the rest of the moderate resorts, just because some of them are sprawling, and if you don't have a car, it's taking you a while to get to things. But it doesn't have a sit-down restaurant, and I know it shares facilities with Riverside if you want to go use Riverside's pool or the food court or anything like that. And I have also heard that the food court options are pretty limited. It's like very Cajun-y, which to me would be a good thing, but I don't know if that would be great for everybody. And I've heard it's like declined in quality over the past few years. So yeah, so that's why I have it at. I like more things at the resort, because if it rains one day or you're planning a resort day, I just think there's less to do at French Quarter than all the other resorts.
French Quarter was also my least favorite, and I'm coming from a place of I stayed there at least twice as a kid, and I don't know what it was. It just never clicked with me. I think it's certainly nice. There's like nothing wrong about it, but we stopped staying at French Quarter and started staying at Riverside. So maybe it was like the juxtaposition between the two that maybe like hate on French Quarter. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you got the boat to Riverside, the boat to Disney Springs. It has a lot going for it for sure, and it's definitely pretty. It just to me isn't on the level of the rest of the resorts on this list.
And I actually do love the theming. I think it's super cool how for Riverside you see the, more rural parts of, the bayou area, and then you get to French Quarter and it's kind of like a city. I just wish with that city came more amenities, a restaurant, more shops, things like that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What's next on your list?
You're not gonna like it. It is Port Orleans Riverside, and here's why. Over Christmas, my parents and I stayed at Old Key West for 4 or 5 nights, and then Riverside for 2 nights, I believe. And we stayed in the princess rooms. The princess rooms are an upcharge. It was the only thing left because we were only planning to stay for 5 days, but then we wanted to extend. And it was only a few months before, and it was over Christmas, so there was very limited things. And my mom, we had stayed at Dixie Landings, which was Port Orleans Riverside previously in 2000. My mom loved it there, so she was like, let's stay there again. So I said, well, only the princess rooms are left. I don't really like the princess rooms. Why don't we stay somewhere else? No. Let's stay at Riverside. Great, cool. It was fine. I love the theming. I love the mansions. I love everything. It's very much my style. I love that. Like, I would love to live in something that looks like that, obviously. They're beautiful. I like the food court. I remember as a kid seeing like the wheel, the like water wheel at the food court. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. I love that you can take the boat to Disney Springs. I love all of it. One, the cast members weren't the most friendly. I think I interacted with maybe 2 while I was there, and both were just very straight to the point, not super friendly. And the rooms, those princess rooms, need an update. They were dark, they were dingy, they were not dirty, but not the cleanest. And it just was not my favorite experience. Especially, I mean, we were in a 1-bedroom in Old Key West and then went there. That is a huge difference.
Okay. Yeah.
But that shouldn't, the room itself, like the cleanliness and the furnishings of the room could have been so much better to make our experience better. It was just, we turned on every light in that room and it was still dark. Like, we could not see. I don't know whether it's a lighting thing. I don't know whether it's like the light bouncing off of the dark things makes it more dark. I have no idea, but it was super dark in that room.
Well, Riverside's number 1 on my list, so we'll talk about it now instead of me revisiting it. How would your experience have changed had you just stayed in a standard room? Do you think, like, would it have been a huge difference if it had a bright standard room? Oh
Can
no,
you
I
hear
think
me?
yeah,
Okay, there we go. There we
yeah,
go.
there we go.
Okay. I didn't hear you. I'm sure everyone else did though.
No, I said, how would your experience have changed if you had stayed in a standard room with?
I think it would have been so much better. I've seen the rooms on videos and room tours, and they look great. I don't know why those, if it's, especially because it's an upcharge. I mean, I get that parents are going to want to stay there with their kids who love their princesses. There was like cool things on the walls. There was like you press a button and it like lit up your headboard. Like that was cool. But the room as a whole was just super dark, and I just think for, especially for an upcharge, it shouldn't be worse than the standard rooms.
I I stayed there a bunch of times as a kid, and I haven't been back in quite some time. But I remember like loving just the grounds. Like it just felt
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
felt so relaxed coming back from the parks and just walking around there. That was such the pool's cool, the water wheel, of course. There was so much I loved about it, and I think it's becoming more expensive recently. I think it's hard to get in there for like less than 250 a night.
yeah.
It certainly wasn't always the case. So it's my number one still, but I'm open to changing that because I haven't actually stayed overnight at two of the hotels on this list. So
Yeah. And I also will say, going along with the price, I think you can get Coronado for like $75 less than Riverside a night.
yeah,
And I would just rather do that.
yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, at least with my experience so far with Riverside.
Sure.
All right, so next on my list is Coronado Springs. This again, I feel like it ends up being the least expensive when I price it out with, discounts and things. I don't know why that is, especially with the new tower. That new tower looks gorgeous, and those rooms are not that much more expensive than the regular rooms. I mean, they are a little bit, but I think for what you're getting, they look beautiful. You have beautiful views. Um, you have now basically two new restaurants, the Dahlia Lounge. You have so many new things, and it's like that tower borders it on deluxe, and I think that says a lot about that resort.
Yeah, I have Coronado at two on my list, and I was supposed to stay there in May. But that doesn't seem like it's going to happen because of coronavirus. But that's okay. And
Yes, I was also supposed to stay there in
yeah,
May.
we both have canceled trips to Coronado for the next like 6 weeks. I'm definitely gonna like insist that when I rebook that trip that I stay at Coronado. Like I'm tempted to stay like to upgrade and stay in a deluxe resort, but I might force myself to stay there just to check another box. I would like to stay at all the resorts eventually, and I'm close-ish, I would say. But yeah, the tower's beautiful. If you look at the pictures of the rooms, I mean, like you said, it could easily be a deluxe resort, easily. But the tower is definitely more expensive.
Right. But I think it's not as bad as a deluxe. It's not as expensive as a deluxe. And I think especially in that tower, you're getting a lot of deluxe feeling and amenity. So I think that is a huge plus.
Definitely. Yeah, they have that new restaurant that's out on the water, right? There's like a
Yeah,
walkway
Three
out to the
Bridges.
center.
Yeah.
What's it
I
called?
haven't been there yet, but I heard Three Bridges / Rio del Lago. I think like the where it is Rio del Lago, but the actual thing is called Three Bridges, or the opposite of that. I don't know. I saw
Okay,
it on.
cool.
Okay.
And is it like a sit down restaurant or is it a bar?
I think it's like a bar and grill kind of situation, like not super fancy, but still like a sit down and relax and enjoy the views kind of place.
Cool.
It looks cool, and Toledo looks awesome. I really, really want to get there
Me
soon.
too. And you know what? They have like a super like beloved pool as well. So the resort has a lot going
Yeah,
for it. And
right.
I think because it's so sprawling, I think there's different pools, like there's smaller pools throughout.
Mhm.
I think if you're staying at one of the satellite buildings.
Yeah, and even the old buildings that were just refurbished, those, it looks beautiful in those rooms. It's like bright, airy, light. They have the new floors. They have, I think, the beds that are higher up so that you can put your suitcases underneath. Like they really thought about space in those new rooms. So I think they look great.
All right, well, that's definitely on the top of my to-do list. What's next, number two or number one on your list?
So two. So I have Fort Wilderness at number two. I've never stayed here, but it's definitely on my bucket list of things to do. I think if you think about the all the things that you can do there, you have all the normal Disney things that you could do at any resort. Plus, you can drive around on the golf cart. You can go on a horseback ride. There's so many things that you can do that you can't do at the other resorts. So I feel like it's two vacations in one, and I think that's a huge plus. I also think it's huge that they have not only Hoop-Dee-Doo Revue, which is like everyone's favorite show, but they also have Trails End, which is a super affordable buffet option that everyone loves. So I think it is huge, and if you don't have a golf cart or you don't have a car, that's going to be a struggle. But if you do have one of those things, and again, it is more expensive than the other ones, but you can also fit more people, so you can, split it between more people. They just the cabins look really awesome. And I think it would just be a very different Disney experience than what most people are typically used to.
This is something this I didn't put this on my list. I put it as an honorable mention because it's almost like Art of Animation and a different
Yeah.
price, different experience, but that like it's not a value judgment. It looks awesome. The only possible con I can think of this, well, two cons maybe, is that people just talk about it. If you don't have a car, like it's going to be a really difficult thing getting to the park. Like the transportation from your cabin to like a bus to the park it sounds like a massive headache and can take like an hour plus depending on where you're trying to go. So you got to have a car basically. Two, the only other con I would think would maybe not having like if you have to be willing to not necessarily have that full resort feel. Like you're not going to have like the grounds and like you're not, Fort Wilderness is definitely a different experience. And I think people that go there more or less know what they're signing up for. So
Right.
if you're one of those people, then like go for it. And that's definitely something I'm going to do someday. I haven't gotten there, but it's definitely, I mean, the cabins are beautiful too.
Right. Also, for Christmas Day at night, we rented a golf cart and we drove through and we looked at people had their campsites and cabins decorated for Christmas. One person had an entire Cars display. They had like Mater and Lightning McQueen, and it was absolutely amazing. I can't believe that these people like bring all of this with them. They must live like pretty close by because to truck that from like New Jersey, that would be a horrible time. But it was amazing. There was one person that had like a Cinderella castle in lights. It was absolutely beautiful. So even if you're not staying at Fort Wilderness, I would recommend just like renting a golf cart and driving through it one day. Or if you have a car, just driving through it one day, because it really is beautiful and such a different, you wouldn't think that was in the middle of Disney World.
Cool. Definitely on my to-do list. Very top of my to-do list. So what's your number one?
Caribbean Beach.
Really?
And the number one reason is the Skyliner. I am obsessed with the Skyliner. It is the hub of the Skyliner, so you can go over it now. If you love that Art of Animation food court like everyone does, you can just hop on over there. You can get to Hollywood Studios. You can get to Epcot. Riviera, if you want to go to Topolino's. I think it's just a perfect location now. It wasn't before, but right now it's a perfect location. I also think the room refurbs were really well done. I also think that looking at the moderates, we didn't talk about the restaurant at Riverside, everyone's favorite.
True.
But I think Caribbean Beach right now, not before, but right now with Sebastian's Bistro has the best restaurant for all the moderate resorts. And I'm really, really excited to get there and try those pull apart rolls that everyone talks about.
Yes.
So love the rooms, love the location. I think I would love the restaurant. So I think that's just like an all around has the best of everything that you would want in a resort.
So Caribbean Beach is definitely the resort that I've been the most indifferent about. Like, oh, I'm getting a call. Sorry. And I was like researching it, and I was starting to realize that it has a lot of things going for it that I didn't like. I don't always think about. That's the other resort on this list I haven't stayed at, other than Coronado, and it's got a beautiful pool. They just redid the lobby. The lobby looks beautiful. Sebastian's is getting like incredible reviews, so it has a lot going for it. And then it has the Skyliner, which I haven't done. So the one thing I think that maybe has always turned me off is it feels like the color scheme is a little dated. Like I said, there's this one building that I always see in pictures that's pink and green. It looks
Yeah,
very 90s.
yeah, that's fair. I think they have one of the videos I watched, I think they actually have toned down like that pink to a more like less obnoxious pink. I mean that is like Caribbean. Those like bright blues and the greens and that, but I think they've with that last refurb, I think they really undated it a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
I
I
feel
think up until like 2018, it looked super 90s.
so that well, let me ask you this then. When I rebook my coronavirus canceled trip, would you say go forward with Coronado or check out Caribbean Beach?
I mean, I think it also depends on what you want out of your trip. If you're doing a very like Magic Kingdom / one of the Epcot festival trips, I don't think Caribbean Beach is necessary. Well, with Epcot, but or like Animal Kingdom if you have like special events at Animal Kingdom or something. But if you're going to Hollywood Studios or Epcot a lot, I would say Caribbean Beach for that, just for that Skyliner. I'm obsessed with that Skyliner. I think it is such a quick and easy and pleasant way to get to the parks. You're not standing shoulder to shoulder with 100 other people in the buses. Um, they don't smell like the monorails. So I think it's a really great now, unless you want to stay in like Coronado in the tower, that's a totally separate conversation. But I think if you're just staying at one of the regular buildings at Coronado versus staying at one of the regular buildings at Caribbean Beach, I would say Caribbean Beach.
Okay. Before we sign off, since you've done the Skyliner, how does it, like in terms of value to you, how does it compare to the monorail?
I like it a lot better. Just
Really?
because, well, okay, I will also say this. When we did it, we were the only ones in the gondola. Like, we didn't have to share it with anyone. But from what I'm hearing, like, unless it's super, again, this was over Christmas. So it was already a super busy time. And we could have our own. I know, like, I've seen videos where there's a huge line waiting for the Skyliner, especially at the end of the night, like coming from Epcot, going somewhere. But in like the middle of the day, you get your own. um there you can see out, it's beautiful, unless, I mean, if you're like claustrophobic or if you have a fear of heights, that's a totally different situation, I guess. But I don't have either of those things, so it's fine for me. But I think it's a great way to get around. It's quicker, it's not stopping a lot. I don't know, I
Did we lose you a little bit? Can you hear me? Hello? You there?
yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay, we lost you a little bit. I think
Oh,
that's it. Have we done everything?
yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's episode 2 of Extra Magic Minutes. Make sure to like and subscribe down below and come back for more very soon.
Great.
Bye, everyone.